Hello! So a new movie that just came out that is getting to be quite popular is the American version remake of Godzilla. So the other day I saw Godzilla and now I'm going to review it here. So the first thing that I would just like to say is that I enjoyed Godzilla and I was relatively satisfied with my viewing experience, and I'm happy that I got to see it. So going into more detail, as many of you guys know, I am a big film snob. So when you're going to go see Godzilla, was it an absolute masterpiece? No. And I wasn't expecting it to be, and you shouldn't either. I think a good strategy for watching films in general is to kind of know what genre films are in, or just to know what to expect when you're going into these movies. So if you're a Hollywood producer and you're going to take a big cultural icon like Godzilla and remake it and bring it back, then you're kind of maybe going to approach it differently than a regular film. So because everyone is already familiar with Godzilla, and because over the years, even though Godzilla started out as kind of a serious concept with many cultural and historical implications, Godzilla, the image, as most of you guys probably know, has gotten many variations, and now it's kind of comical, at least in the American sense. So if you're a producer and you're thinking of that and you're thinking of how to market that towards an American audience, then you're probably going to think, well, what are the audiences going to be expecting when they go see this film? And pretty much what you should be expecting, and what I would predict that you were already expecting before you even watched this video, is that Godzilla is going to be mainly about spectacle. So audiences seeing Godzilla shouldn't be going into the theater expecting big character development and dramatic plots and like heart-wrenching and crying and things like that. And I mean, the film did have character development and like sad stories and like, oh, he has such a tragic past, but it was like, whatever, this is typical Hollywood fare, cliche stuff. So those aspects of the film were just kind of forgettable and like, whatever. But like I said, if you're going in to watch it for the spectacle, then I would say, in my personal opinion, the spectacle was pretty cool. There was chaos and giant explosions and giant monsters, wrestling, beating each other down, smackdowns, explosions, more chaos. And that was pretty much it, and that was the most entertaining thing about the movie that I thought. So it was pretty good, and while I didn't see it in 3D, I was watching it, and I think that this movie would actually do really well in 3D. I mean, like I said, if you're going to a movie for spectacle and kind of visual amazingness, then 3D would probably help. So I would like to see a giant Godzilla roaring at the screen in 3D. And there were some shots in it where I thought that they purposefully had 3D in mind when they composed that shot. So it would probably add to the experience. Another thing to keep in mind is the audience factor. So this is another movie where I think the audience helps. So seeing it in theaters helps, because it's just nice to have a whole crowd of people like screaming or gasping or reacting or applauding or cheering, things like that. It kind of adds to the whole experience. So I would say that you would want to watch it in a theater as opposed to waiting to like torrent it or something and watch it on your small screen by yourself. But also keep in mind the audience that this movie attracts. So if you don't like middle school rowdy rough boys talking through the whole thing and like kicking your seat and stuff, then maybe you should watch it at like a Monday morning matinee because that kind of took a little bit away out of my experience. Now I do have some qualms about the movie in that they should have been more aware of what they were doing in a way. So they had plenty of spectacle and stuff like that. But personally, I would have liked them to just get rid of all the character development that they had, because it was kind of useless either way. Like, I don't care about these characters, I'm here to see Godzilla. So I would have liked less character development and like, I don't care, but more Godzilla and more giant things fighting and more spectacle. But they were trying to kind of strike a balance so that it would appeal to people like me and then like my grandma, who might want a nice, like, solid character-driven story. I think if they were going to focus more on the story and the characters, then it would have been more interesting if they had brought in things that the original movie had, like nuclear weapons and the horrors of war and things like that. So to me, it's kind of either you go one or the other, and having a balance is just kind of whatever. So you either go with the original serious undertones of the film, or you go with totally spectacle, which Americans are really good at doing. So basically, in conclusion, I like the film. It's all about spectacle. If you want spectacle, then you should go see it, and I would probably recommend it in 3D. And, you know, character development. Why are you even expecting character development from a remake, an American remake of Godzilla? I don't know why. But go and see it if you like giant monsters wrestling with each other. Another side note, if anyone is interested, Netflix recently put up all of the old Godzilla movies, including the original, and they were very much conscious of the remake, so that's the reason why they added all of these. So if you're interested in seeing the original Godzilla, it's a pretty historically important film, so if you want to see that, it's on Netflix. So get a Netflix account.